guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kelly and I like to talk about books. So what we're going to be doing today is the end of the year book tag. This popped up on my suggested videos, so I watched a couple of them, and the one I'm doing specifically was created by Destiny Sidwell, I believe. There are a few going around out there that I've seen, but this one felt like it had the most questions, and I felt like I knew the answers already when I was watching other people's, so this is the one I decided to go with. So let's just jump right into it. So the first prompt is most disappointing read of the year. I'm gonna say mine was Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter. I've seen a lot of other people really love this author. This was my first book by them. I will probably try another one, but it was just not memorable at all. I don't remember reading it. I did give it 3 stars, so it wasn't a bad book by any means. Not my favorite. Kind of disappointing. Number 2 is an underdog book. For this one, I'm going to say Enchanted to Meet You. This is a book by Meg Cabot. Can you see that cover? There we go. This book is by Meg Cabot. It was published in, I think, 2021. I have loved Meg Cabot since I was 10. I gave it 4 stars, and I haven't seen a single person talk about it, and it has a few thousand reviews on Goodreads, but not nearly as many as most other books that I've read, because I get a lot of my recommendations from bookish social media. So yeah, underrated and an underdog for me this year for sure. So number 3 is an overhyped book. For this one I said Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is, I hope I got that title right, it's one of the Bridgerton books. It is Penelope and Colin, and I really like their dynamic in the show, and I do really enjoy the show, but I feel like everybody is hyping up these books, and it was just fine. Very specifically, what was overhyped for me was the mirror scene that I saw everybody talking about when it was confirmed that we're getting Colin and Penelope's season next for season 3 of Bridgerton. It was fine. I don't know why that was talked about so much, so that was kind of very overhyped for me. The book itself was fine. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. Number 4 is a book that surprised you. For this one, I'm saying universe series, kind of. The Dark Verse is what it's called. I read the first 3 books and started the 4th one. I really enjoyed the first 3 books, but it's a super dark romance series. It's a mob romance, and I, until this year, didn't really think I'd actually enjoy those at all. And when I was thinking about my answer for this one, I was because I was surprised that I liked those, so I knew I wanted to put those. And I was like, you know what? This is 2014 Wattpad's fault, because the number of Mafia fan fictions that were written for, I was a big 5 Sauce girl, still am a big 5 Sauce girl, and the number of Mafia romances written for them is insane. It was a wild time, but that prepared me for this. And that, I think, is why I liked those. I also read the Sinners Anonymous series this year. I don't think I read all of those. Those are all interconnected standalones, I believe. And I really, really enjoyed the ones that I did read of that as well. So, learning I like dark romance on occasion. Number 5 is favorite book couple. I couldn't choose just one. I am a Libra and I am indecisive. That's just how it works for me. So I chose 2. I just finished reading All the Young Dudes not that long ago, and I loved it. It's a Harry Potter fan fiction. I'm gonna make a whole video on it, so I'm not gonna get into it now, but because of that, the couple in that is Remus Lupin and Sirius Black, and the dynamic in that fic specifically is so, so good, and I adored it. So I'm going to say that as one of my favorite book couples, but then also Elsie and Jack from Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I love a woman in STEM, first of all, and their dynamic and the way they communicated, because there were some miscommunications, but it wasn't to the point where I was yelling at them to like just freaking talk to your partner. It was a more understandable, we barely know each other kind of miscommunications for the most part, and their relationship seemed like healthy and normal, which I feel like a lot of romances, they don't feel healthy and normal in books. And I get that that's where some of the drama comes in, but I really, really appreciated that. Next is your favorite main characters of the year. I was able to make a choice for this one, and that is Ella, I believe is how you pronounced it. It's ELA, from The Queen Bee by Molly Howard. This book was a 5-star read overall. But what I really liked about the character specifically is that you saw the growth. It's told kind of dual timeline-ish, you know, she has like flashbacks really, but you see her grow and you see her objectives change. Like, she goes in wanting one thing, and then by the end of the book she realizes why she wanted that, why maybe she shouldn't have wanted that, etc. And I liked the growth. I liked that she was a little bit like vindictive. The whole book is that the point of the book is that she wants to get some petty revenge, and she goes all out for it, and I kind of loved that. 7 is new to you author for this year. I am choosing Molly Howard, who wrote Queen Bee, and I've never read one of her books before, so I am just really excited to read more from this author. I have not read any more this year, but I do have them on my TBR. 8 is most frustrating book. So for me, this was Spellbound by Rachel Hawkins. It's the 3rd book in the Hex Hall trilogy, and this is a spoiler alert. This book has been out for a long time, but still, spoiler alert, skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear it. I will put something on the screen so that you know when you can come back when it's safe. So I DNF'd it this time because there's this love triangle, and when a love triangle is well written, I'm not against it. However, in this story, I root for the guy she does not end up with. Okay, normally that's fine, right? No, he dies. He dies to save her and, like, the world, whatever. And he doesn't even get, like, another chance to love another person. He is such a better person, in my opinion, than the guy that she does end up with, and it makes me mad. So when I was reading the book this time, I remembered how it ended. I didn't remember how it ended during the first 2 books. And then I got a little bit of the way through Spellbound, and I was like, you know what? I'm not putting myself through that again. I remember how it ends. I am DNFing. So, yeah, that was my most frustrating book. Sorry for the spoilers. My happiest book this year was, again, my Meg Cabot, Enchanted to Meet You. First of all, okay, I'm gonna just cover up the, like, barcode. But first of all, look at how pretty that purple is. Second of all, it is based on, like, it's a lyric from a Taylor Swift song, and I'm a Swiftie. It's just so, like, cute. I gave it 4 stars, right? I loved it. I thought it was cute and fun. It was, like, high stakes, but not, the way it was written didn't feel like high stakes, you know? But the way that Meg Cabot writes, to me, is just awesome. I love it. I will read anything she publishes. Not that I haven't even read all of her books because she has so many, but I loved it. And it made me really happy to read it. Number 10 is Best Book Adaptation. So I am going to say My Life with the Walter Boys. I hope it's focusing on that. I, like, can't tell without looking at the camera. But this just got turned into a Netflix TV show. There's 1 season. Supposedly, the author Ali Novak is writing a second book as well. I remember reading this book when it was on Wattpad before it got published. So to see it on the screen is amazing to me. Like, the growth there. We're going from Wattpad author, unpublished, to published, and I bought this right after it came out, right? The first time I saw it at Barnes & Noble, I was like, I need that. My mom was like, you've already read that. And I was like, yeah, but I want to support someone who's like, she's like me, you know? Yeah, just seeing it on the big screen it made me so happy. 11 is longest book. The longest book I read was the fan fiction I was talking about called All the Young Dudes. According to Goodreads, 1,799 pages. Now, because it's a fan fiction, I don't think that's 100% accurate. I don't know how they figure it out. Because it's, you know, not like traditionally published. It's just online it's on Archive of Our Own. Whether that's accurate or not, that is more than twice the next highest page count I had, which was in different fan fiction it was a Draco Hermione ship fan fiction. So I'm gonna say it's the longest one I read anyway. It also took me a month to read it. The shortest book I read was Power Play by Maria Lewis at 194 pages. I don't remember reading this book. 13 is favorite book cover. I'm gonna be honest, none of them really stand out to me. Assuming I finish it before the end of the year, which I plan to, this is, I guess, out of the ones on my TBR for this year, The Collected Regrets of Clover by Nikki Brammer. I cannot pronounce the author's name correctly, but this is the prettiest cover. 14 is a book you can't stop thinking about, and once again I have to say All the Young Dudes. I feel like I've talked about it a few times already. I have not stopped thinking about All the Young Dudes since I read it, and I've been done with it for at least a week at this point. And if it wasn't such a long read and on my Kindle, like if I had a physical copy, I'd go back and reread it and I'd annotate, because it just, first of all, because it's so long that it would help me keep track of things, and second of all, because I think the writing is so good and the character development is so good, the plot line is good. Like, you have a little bit of a plot because it's a fan fiction, but because it takes place at a time that we don't know much about, the author was able to make up like their entirely own plot. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm making an entire video about it, and I will throw all my thoughts out when I do that. I've started scripting it, and it's like a 5-paragraph essay already. So yeah, All the Young Dudes. Cringiest read, it was Would You Marry Me by Daphne Elliott. Wood spelled W-O-O-D. It was about a lumberjack. It was like a fun cringy, I want to say. I think I gave it like 2 stars, but it was not terrible. Unpopular book you read. Once again, I'm gonna say Enchanted to Meet You, just because I didn't see any of the books that I read getting any like negative attention online at all. None of them had like super negative reviews on Goodreads, but Enchanted to Meet You didn't have very many reviews, and the rating was actually, and this ties into the next question, which is lowest and highest rated on Goodreads for the year. The rating was 3.37 stars, and there were 5,473 ratings. So it's not unpopular in that people didn't like it. It's unpopular in that I think just nobody really knew it existed or was interested in it. And then it was my lowest rated, not my lowest rated, but like it was the lowest rated book I read this year according to Goodreads reviews. I disagree, but also it's only at 3.37, which is not really that low. So it's like a soft disagree, I guess. And then the highest rated book that I read this year was All the Young Dudes with a 4.78 star rating and 26,974 reviews at the time that I looked that up. I agree. I gave it 5 stars. So I loved that book. Favorite book quotes. So I'm not a big person who like remembers book quotes. I would like to be that kind of person, but I'm not. So the only one I could think of is anything from My Mooney, which is like in All the Young Dudes, Remus goes by Mooney because he's a werewolf, and the whole friend group says anything for our Mooney all the time. And then when he and Sirius, who is one of his friends, start dating, Sirius says anything for my Mooney, and that's just, I believe I started crying at that point. So 19 is book with the most unique concept you read this year. So I'm going to say for this one, I'm going to say My Dark Vanessa. This book was absolutely heartbreaking and devastating and a 5-star read. I don't think the material is something that you see super often, but when you do, it is not often written through the lens of the victim the way that it is here, now that she sees herself as a victim, which just adds another layer on top of why it's like so unique in my opinion. Dark Vanessa was perfect. I would recommend read trigger warnings and make sure you are fully aware of what the book is about, because it is not an easy read. So 20 is book you would reread. There's so many. For sure, I would reread All the Young Dudes, Love Theoretically, Enchanted to Meet You, Queen Bee. There's probably more that I would reread, honestly. Number 21 is Goodreads Reading Goal Reflection and 2024 Reading Goal. My reading goal for 2023 was 30 books on Goodreads. I actually think originally in like January I set it at 52, so 1 book a week, and I ended up reading 30. I want to say I read 35. I didn't write it down. 35 or 36. I think I'm at 35 or 36, and it is December 16th. We still have a couple weeks left, so in the year, and I do plan on reading at least 1 or 2 more books during the holidays. Hopefully, we'll see. So I've long exceeded my goal. For 2024, I will probably set my goal to 30 again, maybe 35, because that's what I hit this year. But I also don't want to put too much stock in it. Like, I don't want to challenge myself and then be upset with myself when I can't hit it. So I think I'm going to start at 30, and then if I am far surpassing that, like 3 months into the year, maybe I'll change it and up it a little bit and see how I do, but I don't think they're that big of a deal. And that kind of leads me into the last question, which is what will you prioritize in 2024? And I did already talk about all of this a little bit, but I want to prioritize really consuming and processing the books that I'm reading. I feel like for the last couple of years I've been just living in survival mode and I haven't been able to thrive or relax very much, and I am getting to a place in my life where I can, and that might be temporary. I want to do a little bit more reading to learn this year than I have been doing previously, and I also want to read some classics. I'm working on Pride and Prejudice right now, but I'm doing an audiobook and it's just like not really processing the way that I would like it to, so probably gonna give up on that soon, honestly, and wait until I can get a physical copy from the library, or if I find one that's not like a super expensive special edition. But my sister has Emma, so I might borrow that from her and start with that for Jane Austen. I kind of want to start annotating. I've never annotated before, but I think it would be fun, especially for some books that I'm like rereading, because I want to reread some books this year. I think it could be really fun to annotate, because I know what's going to happen. Be like, oh, this is foreshadowing, this is like where their relationship starts, stuff like that. I think that would just be really fun. And then lastly, I don't want to put too much stock in my TBRs or my reading goal, which I did talk about a little bit in the last question, but ultimately those are just rules that I make, and so I can change them however I want. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it if you made it this far in the video. Super new to this, so it's really cool to see my last video got like a decent amount of comments, like 4 comments from people that I don't know, and that's just really, really cool to see that it's like meeting new people, because a big reason I wanted to do this was for a community. I really wanted to start a community, not start, but be a part of a community to just talk about books and just have some fun, and I am starting to feel like that could be something that actually happens, which is just really, really exciting. So if you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, please give it a like or comment or both. But if you do leave a comment, let me know what book you're reading right now or what you're going to read next. And I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are.